Love espresso, drip coffee, and cold brew? With the Ninja Luxe Cafe, if you can crave it, you can brew it. Espresso, balanced. Drip coffee, rich. Cold brew, in a flash. With Barista Assist technology, you brew with no stress and no guesswork. And make perfect silky microfoam hands-free from dairy or plant-based milks. Bring the coffeehouse home and unlock your favorites with the Ninja Luxe Cafe.
Hi, I'm Kristen Bell, and if you know my husband Dax, then you also know he loves shopping for a car. Selling a car? Not so much.
We're really doing this, huh?
Thankfully, Carvana makes it easy. Answer a few questions, put in your VIN or license, and done. We sold ours in minutes this morning, and they'll come pick it up and pay us this afternoon.
Bye-bye, truckie.
Of course, we kept the favorite.
Hello, other truckie.
Sell your car with Carvana today. Terms and conditions apply.
It's college football time in Boulder. So you know we've got to talk a lot about the presser from Coach Prime, who the starting quarterback is, and we'll talk a little NFL buffs in the NFL action here on the Prime Time for College Football podcast. Thank y'all for pulling up. I am your boy, Jay. Thanks for joining us here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to. Please go ahead and rate, review us, and give us 5 stars. We would love to get some love as we're going to build this bad boy out. Got my boy Dukes coming on very soon, so he's going to join us to talk about what's going on there in Boulder. He is there right now. He got to go through the presser, chopped it up with Prime, so he's going to drop a few nuggets or whatnot for you all to enjoy. So we appreciate all the love and support. So make sure you hit, like I said, that like, subscribe, and the bell notification. That way you don't miss any of the content. And with that, here's our boy Dukes. All right, we got our boy Dukes here. Dukes the Scoop out there in Colorado. This man's out here kicking it. Got to see Coach Prime's presser. We got to dive into the details on that and kind of how you feel. So make sure you hit the like, subscribe, bell notification on both channels here on Prime Time, as well as over at Dukes the Scoop. My man, how's the weather out there? That's what I want to know right now.
Man, it's beautiful, man. About 72 to 73 degrees. Soft sunlight. It was indoor practice today, so I got on a hoodie and shorts, and I felt great. That's what I had on today. So, yeah, great football weather for sure.
I'm about to say, yeah, this is football weather, man. This is the weather you want to play ball in, especially when you get, hot and sweaty and running around and stuff. So we won't get into all that crazy details, but no, Prime's presser went down. We got the announcement that everybody was waiting for, Dukes. Mm-hmm. Caden Salter is the starting quarterback. Talk to me. How you feel about it?
I think it was one of those things where everybody was looking for it was kind of anticlimactic, where people were thinking it was going to be just like this big, huge announcement. Coach Prime just walks in like, hey, y'all know K-Salt started. Everybody know it anyway, like in a fashion that only Coach Prime can do. And, yeah, I just think that when you talk about experience, and you're going to see that across the country, I think the only one of those guys in that class who was a top 10 quarterback that'll probably start would be Bryce Underwood. After that, I think all of the rest of the guys, I don't think any of the other guys, Deuce Knight, Julian Lewis, Street, you just go down the list. Russell at Alabama. I don't think any of those guys are starting. And they're all immensely talented. So I just think that it was probably the right decision. But the interesting thing was Julian Lewis took a ton of reps at practice today. So Coach Prime, because he followed that by saying, you may see Julian Lewis this week. That's not just posturing. I saw it today. Like, you don't waste that many first team reps on a quarterback that you don't think will play. And I saw it with my own 2 eyes. So kudos to Colorado for picking the starter, but knowing that you have somebody so talented that you have to continue to keep them sharp and keep them fresh, because there may be a situation that you use them in the game.
And that's what it seems like. That, and Prime even said it. He said that the goal is to get Julian Lewis some time on the field as well, some playing time. But of course, the game itself is going to dictate it. And I don't care. I know that folks ain't going to probably like me saying this, but Georgia Tech's going to be a formidable opponent. They're not a bad team. Like, Coach Key has done a great job of developing them into a very physical program. And so we've got to see. Now, granted, I mean, I dropped a video earlier today, and he was kind of talking about how his players weren't practicing very well, but what else? We ain't tripping on that. They'll get to where they need to, but as you said, it was very anticlimactic because, but yeah, we kind of expected that Caden Salter was going to be started. Why wouldn't you play the arm? Juju Lewis is very talented. We do know that, and we know that he's going to get the opportunity to ball long term here. But you got a redshirt senior. Why not take advantage of him being out there on the field? So I thought that was very interesting that Prime kind of walked in, completely addressed that immediately, and that was basically it. He didn't even go any deeper than that or whatnot. So we got the quarterback. We got an idea of what that looks like. From that presser, man, what jumped out to you the most when Prime was talking about this team?
I would say how much he loves the team. I think even when you hear questions about what he thinks about the team, he is doubling down on what he said at the Big 12 Media Day, that this is a more talented team than last year. He said, I know we had some really good guys. I know we had some really good players, but the sum of the group is better this year than it was last year. And I thought even going in the game week, his first game preparation without Travis Hunter, Shador, and Shiloh, Cam, Silman, Craig, when you think about those type of guys who garnered NFL interest, losing that many guys, you would think, and a Heisman Trophy winner, you would think there's no way that this would be a better team, but he is staunch in his belief that this will be a better team, and I thought that was surprising.
Yeah, that did shock me in his mindset with that, man. Like, and I think I love the answer when people ask, all right, how do you feel about, I forgot who asked the question, but they asked, what's the difference really with this team and the last one? And the big thing he said is the depth. He feels like there's not a situation on this roster where if somebody goes down, you have to emergency break glass and try to figure out what you're going to do next. Dog, because me and you, we went through this roster. We was looking at the depth chart and the players. Man, there's a lot more experience on here than I even anticipated. I went through, and to me, the most important spot, regardless of what conference you in or anything, your two most important spots to me will always be the trenches. You got to have, of course, a quarterback. You need a line to protect them and a defensive line to go get their quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. I've always adopted that philosophy as well. And so I went through and I started looking at the snaps and the snap counts that this roster has. Bruh, there are thousands of snap counts for the O-line and the D-line. The experience really is there. So when you look through it, it's like, wait a second. They got so many players that have played, not only the transfers that have come in, but even the transfers that showed up a year or even 2 years ago that are still around. They have got a lot of experience. This could be, and I kind of agree with Prime here, this could be, and I think you actually mentioned this before, this is actually probably Coach Prime's best team, sans not having his son and the Heisman Trophy winner. This team is built for that.
Yeah, I think it is the best team. When I look at the roster and I look at the blue chip rating, when you look, and that's the rating where you go look at guys who have the pedigree who were rated at least a 4-star or better coming out of high school, they are all over this team. So yep. I think that when you think about guys who have the actual pedigree to play at this level, not all guys who were, maybe JUCO All-Americans or transferred in. We're talking about guys who came out of high school and everybody in the country wanted based on their physical ability. Sometimes you cannot just you just can't skip over size. And I think when you look at Colorado having one of, I believe they're in the top 10 of biggest offensive lines when you look at the total depth of the entire unit.
Top three, dog. I think Texas A&M is right above them or right below them. Mm-hmm. They got one other SEC team that's around them. But yeah, they're one of the biggest ones in the country. That's wild.
Yeah. After losing Flapjack and Peyton Kirkland, and you still and now you get bigger on the offensive line and you add more veteran leadership and add more starts. That's the crux of it. That's the part that really kind of drives the car, the engine of the car, is the fact that you didn't just get bigger, you got bigger with more experience. And I think by having that experience, offensive lineman goes down, you're putting another former starter in there. He goes down, you got a guy who started at Colorado still there. So I think by having so much experience, this team is built to last this year.
Yeah, it is, and it's big. I think I saw it was an article over on SI, Colorado SI. They were talking about that in detail. And so I grabbed the depth chart, put the numbers together myself. And I'm actually going to look at this right now while we're talking. I'm looking at this, dog. That average, oh boy, they have a good average. Let's see, average around about 330 pounds on the offensive. That's huge. Like, you live in Atlanta. I'm down in Oklahoma. I keep up with SEC as much as Big 12. And I went through and looked, man, ain't very many SEC teams this big on the offensive line. And I think it was Adam Mustatiger over there from 247 was saying this is feels like the biggest line, him and Brian Howell. This is the biggest that they've ever seen a Colorado line in the years that they've covered the team. Dog, that's saying a lot. I mean, coming from Big 12 era, Pac-12 back to Big 12, that's huge. So because of that, now this feels like for Colorado, because the line is so big and it looks like it's a lot more experienced, the protection should be a lot better now in comparison, especially with Caden Salter out there at quarterback. I'm thinking that we're probably going to see him not only flourish, especially with the wide receiver room, but he should be able to actually get some runs on some quarterback design runs. You see that happening? Because I can see it.
Absolutely, it's in there. Like they got to Georgia Tech should, like they got to prepare for it. They're going to get it. And the funny part about it is Julian Lewis ain't just gonna come in the game and go 5 wide. He gonna run the same offense, and he can do it. Like Julian got some shake to him, and I think Draylon Miller spoke about that earlier. And his part of the press conference, they asked him about, hey, what's a pocket passer like Juju Lewis? How is he so much different from your perspective? And he was like, he ain't that much different. Like Juju got shake. So I thought that was a really cool moment of the presser earlier. Was Julian Lewis getting his props. So when you think about how difficult they can be to defend based on the quarterback position, other teams have to have pause when they consider how they're going to attack the Colorado offense.
Yeah, Georgia Tech's got their hands full, but at the same time, so does Colorado. All right, we're talking about what I got, Deuce and Scoop. He's there in Colorado. Got to ask some questions to Prime at the presser, got to hang out, saw some practice and everything. We're going to dive into that in just a minute. But first, Dukes, I want to ask you this. Adam Mustatiger over there at 247 had he wrote an article yesterday, and he was talking about the defense. And I watched Georgia Tech's coach, Brett Key, on his presser earlier this week. And that was one thing that he emphasized as well was how strong of a defense Colorado has coming into this game. Like, perfect example, right? Colorado was not a very good defensive team in 2023. They were not good. But last year, they jumped top 40 in a lot of major categories, and you can all tie that back to Coach Livingston. That's just basically where you can go with it. When you going through, I know people ask some questions a little bit about that in the presser, but when you got to see some of the practice, man, how you feel about that defense? Do you feel like it can continue to maintain what it did last year? Because when I look through watching some of the videos from Well Off Media, kind of seeing some of the analysis, it feels like this defense should be able to actually outdo what it did last season.
Yeah, I think you get more length in the secondary this year. I think you get more physicality.
Good point.
And I think another thing that you get is you get that same defensive line for the most part, but they are with a year in the culture of being good. So the culture wasn't built last year. Last year they were the culture builders. So now you get guys who get to come into a room where the culture's already been built on that defensive line, where they're thinking nobody expected Colorado to lead the Big 12 in sacks last year. All those sacks didn't lead with BJ Green. There are a lot of sacks still in that room. So for guys who watched BJ Green, who got to learn from him, from guys who are now wanting to step into some of those roles, guys who waited their turn, guys who came on strong at the end of the year, Arden Walker comes to mind. Amari McNeil comes to mind. Keaton Wade is a guy who comes to mind. You got ballers up and down that defensive line. So I think in practice today, the thing that stood out the most as far as can they do it again, is that I think the expectation is to do it again this year versus last year. The expectation was, hey man, y'all were horrible in 2023. Just get better. Well, you got so much better. You got exponentially better. So now it's about maintaining that level of play, and I think they can. I think they will, and I just think that Colorado can send so many combinations of defensive linemen that you got 10, 11 guys that you could feel comfortable playing in a Power Four game, and I think that's incredible to say.
Yeah, the DB room itself has over, especially in the cornerback room, 3,000 snaps last season is what they're bringing in, and that's including transfers or whatnot. Tariqus Davis had over 700, almost 800 snaps. Of course, DJ McKinney, who will probably be the main corner for on this roster, he has over 800, almost 900 snaps. Jesus Christ. Deion Parker, 729, and he's a fascinating one. I want to see what he turns into for this roster. And then when you go and look at the safety room, 1,100 snaps combined. So Taufik Bayard and Carter Stoudemire both in over 500 range. A few other younger players there, but man, Dukes, when the secondary to me is going to be much improved. I know that the concern is you don't have Travis Hunter there, so you don't have somebody to do crazy stuff. But then you get Deion Parks, they drop a video of him diving across and getting an interception in practice, just like Travis Hunter did against TCU. So it does appear the athletes are there. I'm guessing the question is going to be what the execution is going to look like for this defense. Do you have an idea who you think that green dot's going to go in that linebacker room? Because that was your question we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago. You was trying to figure out, all right, who's going to get that dot? Who do you think's getting it now?
I still can't tell. I think
word!
Yeah, I can't tell, man. I think between Hughes and French, they've been so vocal. I just think they've really taken to their roles. I just don't know. I think it may be like a freestyle cipher. They may pass the mic. Who knows? It's gonna be hard to tell, man. And I think that's actually a good thing, because I don't think they thought they were going to get that type of that type of leadership from that position. You think when you saw them, you may have thought two-wheel linebackers, but being able to play these guys together, these guys molding their games around each other, I think has been important. And for them to be able to be older guys who people can look to for leadership and handle themselves in that manner, I think is great. So I don't have the answer to that question. I think we'll find out. But
Lowe's has the Labor Day deals you need to give your home a new look. Buy one, get one free select interior paint via Visa gift card rebate. Then, add the final touch with 2 for $8 on select 2.5 or 3-quart mums. Refresh your home and save big while doing it. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 9/3. Mums offer in-store only. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. More terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/rebates for details. Lowe's knows tough jobs call for tougher tools. The new DeWalt Elite Series power tool accessories are built to last for the pro who doesn't stop. With precision fitment, durability, and impact resistance, finishing jobs faster has never been easier. Shop the new DeWalt Elite Series at an everyday low price exclusively at Lowe's. We help, you save.
I don't think going into it, I didn't consider these guys to be the favorites, and now from what I saw today, they are.
Oh, I like that. I like that. And that was what one thing we dove into. French felt like he was going to be the dude. He comes in with the most career snaps, over 1,200 snaps, 1,200. Yes, that's exactly what you heard. They're bringing in a lot of experience, and the linebacker room is going to be fun this year. I'm just ready to see who the leader is going to be. But of course, then we always got to talk trenches. I like to dive into the trenches or whatnot. Curious. So let's dive into practice. Let's actually go into that. Talking to Dukes to Scoop out there in Colorado, enjoying the beautiful football weather out there. Because this week it's beautiful across the country. I cannot wait. So glad we've got football. Now we can immerse ourselves and have no lives outside of ball going forward, bro. This is it. High school, college, we get to focus on, and NFL. When you was out there at practice, man, what areas did you get to see, and what jumped out to you? What got you excited about the Buffs going forward?
I would probably say, I would say the level of coaching that's going on, even when the plays are successful. I would say the way that guys really, that coaching staff is really teaching basic fundamentals, even when they do great things. And I think that being able to shape guys and make sure they take care of the small things allows them to be more consistent. And I think that's why Colorado coaches take that type of approach to it, that, hey, a guy made a catch. And Jason Phillips is saying you didn't look at the ball long enough when you made the catch. He did that to his top 2-3 receivers in a row. I'm like, okay, now this is high level because you're seeing guys make spectacular catches, and Coach Phillips still wants more of the fundamental. Like, hey man, use both hands. Hey man, watch the ball all the way until you tuck the ball. Like these are things that sometimes you talk to a high school guy about, but they're drilling it home today in college because we don't want you to lose sight of what got you here. And just because the cameras are here, or just because you're an opportunity that you do have, that doesn't mean that you lose sight of what got you here and taking care of the fundamentals, because the fundamentals are what keep you consistent. So I think preaching consistency is something that I saw, and discipline, consistency and discipline. I think the discipline portion of it is going to be. I think Colorado still is focusing on as far as making sure that they don't lose the game because of yellow flags.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And as you say that, that's kind of funny because that's something that you heard from like the Belichick era there with the Patriots. And let me kind of, for the uninitiated, what I mean is those little things are always the things that cost you games. So with Belichick and the Patriots in their big heyday, some of the things that they preached heavily on was, one, when you go through the end zone, you hold that ball all the way through till you get to the goalpost, then you can drop it, do whatever you want to. Two, never stretch for extra yards, ever. Never stretch out because fumbles happen that way. And that's when people lose games. You fumble and it just flies out on accident because don't reach for the extra yards. Just you keep fighting for the next play type deal, right? And the other thing you mentioned, wide receivers, when you catch that pass, watch the ball go in. Watch it go in, tuck, and make sure you don't try to run before you catch it. You know what I'm saying? That to me is one of the little fundamentals you try to teach in high school, in college, and you hope it sticks. But that was one thing. Those are the things that Belichick were known for and his staff was known for teaching, because those are the little things that cost you games. And I love hearing that this staff is focused on the mindset of, hey, don't do the stupid stuff that's going to cost you a play or cost you a possession or force a turnover that could have been prevented. Like, especially if you're trying to run before you catch the pass, that's like the cardinal sin we all see on the field. When it happens, you like, dog, you turned your head and you had a touchdown. And it only happens when a touchdown is available. It seems like you got a wide open field every time you turn and drop, and he's like, I didn't watch it all the way in. I could have been gone. And us as fans are like, bro, that was touchdown. What are we doing here? So that's like always a common piece.
You got to make them two. I preach this even to my son now. You got to make them two separate transactions. He's 11. And when they throw him a bubble, sometimes he's already trying to figure out what he's going to do, his plan for upfield. Well, they're not the same transaction. You don't catch and then figure it out. They're two separate transactions, and you got to continue to make those transactions separate. Catch the ball, then score it. Then you're trying to get upfield. But I think it's just something that happens to the best of us. Even when we play flag football, it's just a natural. It's just a natural occurrence. But you got to practice that out. And I think that's what Coach Phillips is doing. You have to practice what feels natural out of your habits and create new ones. And I think that's what he's trying to do, no matter the talent level.
Yeah, I like that. That's what you want, and that to me feels like it's leading the program in the right direction. Like I said, culture building the proper tendencies, building the proper habits. That stuff translates and follows you throughout your entire life. That makes you think about life in a different aspect of making sure you're process driven more than anything. I know, I think it was Josh Pate was talking about not too long ago on Bussin' with the Boys, was talking about how a Saban seminar is what changed his life, because that was Saban's focus, was make sure that you're process oriented, have goals, but focus on the process first. And when you follow the process, the goals usually always are the output. But speaking of the stupid stuff, man, we're going to talk a little football before I let you go, because I know you got to get ready to get on a flight and step home. Dukes, yeah, Shiloh got himself in a little bit of trouble. Fighting people. Granted, I saw the video. I watched the footage. You could tell that he was being antagonized. Of course, he made the mistake of making a punch, so I'm not going to even defend that. But he gets cut by the Bucks. What's the likelihood you think they're going to pick him up for the practice squad? Because I kind of have a feeling that somebody, if not them, will put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, I think Shiloh did enough to get a look, and I think that's all you want is a look. Yep. I think Coach Prime said something so important today, is that, man, the Sanders going to be all right no matter what they do. I know we're just talking football, but I just think it goes without saying. I think sometimes we put so much pressure on guys, and for a guy like Shiloh, who went out, gave his all, was excited about the opportunity, never cried about it, was just excited to be there. I think that's going to carry him a long way, and I do think somebody else will give him a look.
And so now that Shador is on the roster, him, Dylan, or whatnot, Dylan had his good output in the last game, which, you kind of expected. Shador had his good one. He didn't have his best one in that last game, but Dylan didn't have a good one in before. I mean, regardless, I think this was the best statement that was made about all of this. No matter who the quarterback is in this situation, Dylan, Joe Flacco, or even Shador, the Browns ain't putting no quarterback or no player in a good position to perform on this offense whatsoever. And even though Stefanski's a pretty solid offensive mind, it don't feel like they're doing anything to put them in a good moment. Am I crazy?
No, I think I think they did do some things to put. So this is what I saw that stood out about the Shador thing, and I'll say it again. I just think that I saw rollouts to the left for Dylan Gabriel. And I thought that was really important. That was telling, right? That how much of the game plan was built for him. They moved the pocket around, knowing that the pass rush that the Rams had, they probably had some better guys. So regardless of second or third string, I think moving the pocket is what helped Dylan Gabriel. I think if you done some of that same thing with moving the pocket to the right for Shador, maybe you would have got some of those same results, but you didn't. And I just think they had two different calls. I think where Shador, only thing Shador did wrong, in my opinion, is just like you can't be Superman, especially and you can't. I hate to say it. I ain't gonna say this. I really want to say something, but I'm not gonna say this. What I'm going to say is that Shador, protect yourself, throw the ball away. That's all. And I think that may have been a bigger test. But I think his performance said a lot about his comfortability knowing that he was on the roster. I think that if he went, I think some of those chances that he took by not throwing the ball away or taking the check down, I think a lot of that had to do with he knew he was there, so he had the ability to try to make something happen instead of just having, just getting rid of the ball. So I think going forward, you'll see Shador. I doubt you see him do that if he gets a game opportunity. I doubt you see him take a 24-yard set.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. That makes a lot more sense. That I didn't even think about it that way. He must have already known that he was going to be on the roster. They probably already kind of clarified that with them. Say, hey, just don't say nothing. Y'all good. We're gonna move some stuff around. Y'all are 3 quarterbacks, and we'll just have y'all have a competition throughout the season. So him taking that sack probably is. But you're right. I mean, if there's the one thing I've always said about Shador, and here on this channel we keep it a buck. We're not gonna lie to y'all in this. We're not gonna just sunshine pump. We're gonna point out some of the faults. That's his biggest issue. He won't throw the ball away. He likes to try to do too much Superman stuff. Mm-hmm. Now you're in a league where you don't need to be doing that, dog. Just
and to be honest,
get rid of it. I
mean, the last pass that got dropped, he was Superman.
Yeah, fair. You're fair.
So it's kind of like, all right, if that becomes a touchdown, which it should have been, because there was a lot of real estate behind that guy. Then what do you say? But I just think at this point, you just don't even give him that part of the game, Shador. There's gonna be an opportunity. There's gonna be a time for it, but that it's all good. So yeah, I think he'll be fine, man. And him being solidified on the roster, I think was big for his confidence as well.
Yeah, like he said, his job is to prove myself right, not prove y'all wrong. And he's done that. He's on the roster. Now we just gotta wait and see what the end result looks like. All right, I'm gonna let you get going, man. It's almost what 2:00 your time. You gotta get yourself together, man. Dukes, thanks for pulling up per the usual. People, make sure you go check him out. Dukes the Scoop here on YouTube. Follow him on X at Dukes the Scoop. He's always got the good stuff. Man, I appreciate you taking some time before you travel out.
No, for sure, man. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, I'll be on this channel soon, so make sure you check us out or whatnot. But yeah, we'll dive more into what's going on, preparing for the Georgia Tech game. Me and him going to be going and chopping it up. So make sure y'all tune in. We'll talk soon.